All right. Well, today we got a kind of a shitty topic because unfortunately, we're talking about the severity of a bunch of individuals that have died in bodybuilding, and just want to be respectful to the people that are left behind that have to, deal with that. It's a shitty thing to have to go through. But a lot of individuals in bodybuilding have had heart attacks. It's it's debatable on whether it's directly from particular drugs. I would just have to say, being a person that has a pretty good amount of experience in rubbing elbows with a lot of really high level people that have used performance enhancing drugs, and I myself using performance enhancing drugs, I would just say that they're not helpful in terms of you being very healthy, and the accusations that steroids are harmful to your heart, which we've heard for a long time. I mean, I think that information has kind of come all the way from like the 80s and maybe even earlier. I think this has been something that's been pretty well known for a while, and it's not one of those things that turns out to not be true. I think there is a lot of truth to it. I think it can compromise your heart. But I think, in my opinion, what's going on here is I think we're dealing with a bunch of circumstances that are hard to really pinpoint, but I would have to say the main culprits, in my opinion, are that your blood becomes thick, and you in many cases will end up with high blood pressure. This doesn't happen to everybody; it doesn't happen all the time. Um, it happens to some people sometimes, but there's ways of avoiding that. But just think about, if your blood is thick and your pressure is high, your body wants to try to pump the blood through you quickly, but it can't because the blood is thick. So if you had high blood pressure and you were healthy otherwise, the high blood pressure would not be a huge concern, although if it's too high, it's always a concern.
What drugs cause the blood to be thick anyway?
You know what? I don't exactly know the mechanism behind a lot of it, but I do believe that just taking testosterone will make your red blood cell count higher. Making your red
Wow.
blood cell count higher, I think, makes your blood more sludgy. I could be misspeaking. So I know there's certain types of anabolics that do that more so, like equipoise. I'm not sure about Tren. Tren's probably not great for that either. And blood pressure is pretty easily triggered by a whole slew of things, water retention being like the number one culprit. And when you take I mean, how many women have you heard talk about their hormones and talk about how they hold more water during certain times of the month, right? With men, you start to alter your hormones around and you start to move them around a bit, you're going to hold more water as well. So that is pretty common. And then a lot of times bodybuilders are trying to get real big, and so they're eating carbohydrates and stuff. Carbohydrates aren't bad, but they can help you to hold more water.
We've all heard that to get optimal sleep, you should cool your room down to 68 to 69 degrees. But that's not all you need to do, and that's why we've partnered with 8 Sleep mattresses. Now, they have the Pod Pro and the Pod Pro Cover, and the amazing technology of this mattress allows you to cool the mattress down to 55 degrees or to have it as warm as 110 degrees. But the great thing is that the temperature changes through the night based off your actual body temperature to make sure that you get the most restful sleep possible. You fall asleep 32% faster, and you move around 40% less when you're actually asleep. It's amazing. And Andrew, how can people get it?
Yeah, this is amazing technology that actually changes its temperature based off of your sleep cycle. There's no other technology like it anywhere else. To take advantage of this, head over to 8sleep.com/power project. That's EIGHT sleep.com/power project. And you guys will receive $150 off this amazing technology. Links to them down in the description below. Let's get back to this video.
You're walking around a lot bigger of a human than your body ever expected. You graduated high school, 180 pounds. You lifted from the time you were 18 till the time you were 25. You went from 180 to 210. You looked pretty good, looked pretty jacked. But then you went on a cycle, and now forever you have an extra 50 pounds. That's quite common, actually, to have an extra 40, 50, in some cases even more, weight on your body. There's a price to pay with that. There's a cost of that. Your body's not used to that, and it may never get used to that.
Yeah, and with that in mind, when you're talking about like what somebody can take to thicken up their blood, snoring will thicken up your blood. So now think about all
What do you mean?
like literally like snoring. So like
Sleep apnea for
sleep
sure.
apnea. There you go.
Ah.
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay.
Better answer, sleep apnea. Now think about all the things that cause sleep apnea, getting bigger, all these other things, you know, that we're taxing our body. So it is the drugs, but it's also what they do to your body, and then that also leads to more other side effects that just all compound on each other.
I mean, it makes sense why a lot of bodybuilders, like Jay Cutler, Jay Cutler seems to be doing pretty well. A lot of these bodybuilders that have gone on, there's a certain point where you probably need to try to call it. You probably need to try to get yourself back to a normal or a semi-normal body composition for yourself, because, I mean, I'm assuming when individuals do take steroids, it's not like there's something like growth hormone makes your organs get bigger. So your heart will probably hypertrophy a bit, but like, it's not like your heart gets bigger to handle the amount of muscle and tissue that your blood or that it now needs to pump blood to. So you're like, that's why you also see a lot of these individuals when they speak or when they're doing things, they have very labored breathing. You know what I mean? They're breathing super heavy. They're winded through just like walking.
Yeah, if you ever seen me bench press, years ago, I would come off the bench, not just like red and not even just purple, but like a grayish purple. Like it didn't look healthy. It looked like somebody was like holding me underwater for way longer than my body could fucking handle. And that's just, it's not good. And I don't have any problem admitting it. I don't have any problem facing whatever's in my future. If I have health issues and health concerns,
Man, knock on some wood. It's not gonna happen.
yeah. No, I want to make it clear that like I am aware. I'm aware of what I've done. I'm not fully aware. I won't be fully aware until who knows when. But I think these individuals have made sacrifices for certain things. And you hear people say certain things where you're like, I really wonder. I don't know about that. But sometimes people will say, I would die to be in that guy's position. And you kind of wonder, you're like, you're probably just speaking and probably just saying some drastic words to share with somebody how into something you are, and you actually wouldn't want to die for it. But I think it kind of feels that way sometimes. Man, I would do anything to be a black belt. Man, I would do anything to be able to bench press 900 pounds. You hear people say that sometimes. And I think when you're caught up in the moment, it can be, for some individuals, it can be enticing to go down a road of thinking, I'm going to do whatever, whenever. I'm going to do anything and everything that I possibly can. Not even within reason. I'm just going to do anything and everything I possibly can to be the best that I can possibly be.